Blog Talk Radio.
Carol the Coach. Sex, love, and relationships. We talk about it here.
Carol the Coach. Compassion with contemporary relevance.
I am a psychotherapist. I can be your personal life coach, and I can help you with your issues. There are no problems too small or too big. You can talk about anything.
Speaker, columnist, radio TV host, and commentator. Carol the Coach brings messages of wellness and empowerment within reach of everyday people every day.
Almost 5 years ago, I lost my soulmate in an accident. He was killed in a plane crash. Life just, for me, has seemed to stop.
There are groups all over the city. I teach one. It is a specific way to start thinking so that you shift how you see the world, which then shifts your energy, and then you feel better and you actually see things differently.
Carol the Coach, always available too at carolthecoach.com.
Now I've got Russell on the line.
I'm 47 years old. I'm a truck driver. I'm married. I have a wife in San Francisco.
Okay.
I haven't been home in 6 months. My thing is, I don't know if I have a sex addiction or what the problem is. Why do I want what I can't have? And as soon as I can have it, I don't want it anymore.
You're right on target when you say, I don't know if I have a sexual addiction. Well, guess what? Yes, you do. And you know what? That's my specialty, Russell, so you're at the right place. Continue.
I meet women online, and I'm in a different part of the country. I travel all 48 states, so I love sex.
I hear self-esteem issues. You never felt good enough, and you didn't feel like you were getting what you should have then, and you're reenacting that now. Do you want to change that about yourself?
And that's the million-dollar question. Do you want to change that about yourself? So welcome to the Sex Help with Carol the Coach show. We are a show that we talk about sexual addiction, and I'm so pleased to be with you tonight. It's been quite a while. Obviously, we played a couple of replays for Christmas Eve and then for New Year's Eve. And then last week we had technical difficulties. I was so upset because I was really excited about interviewing Mr. Werbil. Larry Werbil is an Indiana native who is He is a licensed mental health therapist who has made working with sexual addiction one of his specialties. And he does hold a degree from Ball State University and United Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio. He was ordained in the United Methodist Church, and he pastored churches in Indiana and Michigan for about 15 years. And he soon found out that he needed to get some specific information about sexual addiction because he was finding more and more and more of this in his congregation and in his counseling practice. He and his wife presently own and run Lifebridge Counseling and Consulting. And so at about 9:15, we're going to be talking with Larry and finding out a little bit about why he went into this field and what does he do to treat sexual compulsivity, and what are his resources for recovery. So I'm excited to be doing that. I am so excited to be back with you. I've missed you. You know, if you're listening to this live, that you can go to iTunes and put in sexual addiction with Carol the Coach, and up will come all of my podcasts that I've done since last March. So we're looking at about 40 podcasts where I have interviewed some of the greatest experts in the field. I know that a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed John Caldwell, who's a psychiatrist at the Meadows, and he does mindfulness, and he had a lot of information about the trauma that a sex addict can experience that has to do with attachment, typically having to do with abandonment. And so that was a fascinating show. Tonight is going to be a fascinating show, and I've been blessed to have a lot of people that have made this their niche. And you know, if you're listening to the show, that there is just now starting to be more resources and information out there to help you to determine, do you have a problem with sexual addiction or hypersexuality? And if you do, what can you do about it? Now, if you've been listening to this show for a while, you know that I'm a certified sexual addictions therapist. I got my training with the great Dr. Patrick Carnes. And that was about 10,000 hours and $10,000 worth of training because I really wanted to learn from the best. And Dr. Carnes has made it his life not only to treat sexual addicts and their family members, but also to be a part of hospitalizations and treatment centers all over the country, creating specific programming for this issue. You know, I have a client, and he is really a great guy. He is married. He has about 8 grandchildren. He has about 12 great-grandchildren. And he has 3 or 4 mistresses on the side. And he was part of my very first sexual addictions group. Now, what I know about having a group where you work specifically with people with sexual addictions is that everybody in the group should be motivated to change and should be practicing abstinence to the best of their ability. So, okay. I told them, I said, I'm risking my therapeutic judgment by putting you in the group, but I do believe this might help. And it really got him to look at some issues. However, I couldn't put him in the next series because he was actively acting out. And, you know, when somebody wants to change, but they really haven't created a strategy to change, that requires a lot of individual help as well as SA or SAA, some sort of 12-step group. So I have to ask you, if you're listening to the show, where are you in terms of your recovery? You heard my caller, Russell, at the beginning of the show. He's a truck driver, and he says, I want what I can't have, and I drive all over the country, and I am obsessed with wanting other women. And he wondered if he had a sexual addiction. And I said, well, yes, you do. And at the height of his problems were attachment issues and also low self-esteem. So I'm going to ask you, what is it that has occurred in your life that makes you want to medicate with sex? Whether that be pornography, whether that be chronic infidelity, whether that be voyeurism, exhibitionism, chronic masturbation, what is it? Now, you may not know, and that would absolutely 100% be fair if you don't know. But then you need to get to a trained therapist, somebody who works in the field of sexual addiction. You need to listen to the show. Feel free to email me, or you can call during the live show at 1-646-595-3284. I mean, clearly this is an opportunity for you to ask your questions for free. I charge $120 an hour, and I'm here every Monday night from 9 to 10 o'clock to help you with your issues free of charge. So I want to be your own certified sexual addictions therapist. I want to get you to the right places. I want to take you to the right websites. I want to get you to the right groups. You know, there are some of you that just don't have an opportunity, and I know that, to be in a community of 12-step groups. And if you don't, then I want to get you to some online groups or some telephone groups. You know, lots of you have turned in your laptop. You don't have internet access. Your wife is downloading this, or your girlfriend, or your partner. So I just can't stress enough how important it is to have a committee. Dr. Carnes calls it having a committee that is actually strong enough with you to help combat sexual addiction. He says you alone cannot do it. But when you put together your certified sexual addictions therapist or a therapist who really has a niche and knows how to treat sexual addiction, and you get a good sponsor, and you go to a 12-step meeting, and you do the readings and the meditations and go to the workshops and attend the seminars, and you develop that whole community of other people who have been dealing with their own sexual addiction, you put all of us together and we can fight this disorder. Now, I got an email from one of our listeners, and he says, "Dear Carol, I found your podcasts, and I'm glad that I did. They're very helpful with my life. I've been struggling with sexual addiction since I was 18, and I'm 36 now. So he has been struggling with sexual addiction half of his lifetime. I am married and have been for 15 years. I am a Mormon, and to have this kind of addiction has filled me with so much guilt because of my religious beliefs. I've tried group, individual, and other forms of treatment. I always seem to fall back into acting out. I want this out of my life. I can't afford the expensive programs, and I can't seem to find free groups or resources in my area. I live in Huntington Beach, California. If you could assist me in finding an online treatment program or any free counseling in my area, I do not have health insurance, and my financial situation cannot take on any other monthly payments. Are there services that are pro bono? Any help you can give me is much appreciated." And then he signs his name, which, of course, I'm going to keep anonymous. And I've got to, let's just call him Tom. You know, I'm going to tell Tom that, no, there really aren't free services that are clinically administrated. However, 12-step programs are free. All you have to donate is $1. And if he's living in California, there are SA and SAA meetings out there. All you have to do, Tom, is you have to Google SA or SAA and then your hometown of Huntington Beach, California, and it will give you the meetings that are absolutely the closest to your area. And, you know, I got to tell you, if you really want to get healthy, you may have to drive a half hour or 45 minutes to get to a meeting. And if that's absolutely impossible, then you need to Google telephone meetings in the United States that are SAA-based or SA-based, because there is a meeting every night of the week that you can dial into to get the support that you need to. And, of course, there you can find a sponsor. I personally am a little biased against telephone meetings in that, boy, if there's any way you can do face-to-face, I would highly encourage that, because it's about forming relationships and replacing the relationship you've had, whether that be with another woman, whether that be a relationship with porn, whether that be a relationship with voyeurism or exhibitionism or drug addiction plus a sexual addiction. But, you know, you said you're looking for anything that can provide you with the support you need to lead a sex-free life. And so I am thrilled to tell you, yes, there are available resources out there. And you can go to your library and get out Facing the Shadows by Dr. Patrick Carnes. If you're a love addict, you can do Facing Love Addiction. You've probably heard our podcast. There is a book called One in the Spirit, the meditation course for recovering couples by John and Elaine Leadham. And they teach you how to, on a daily basis, lead a recovery life filled with getting to know yourself better. So there are plenty of resources that are free, but in terms of free clinical counseling services, I'm not aware of any. I'll certainly ask Larry when he dials us up on the phone at 1-646-595-3284. And you can call too. I mean, that is the call-in guest line, 646-595-3284. And I'll take your calls, and of course they can be anonymous. I know a lot of you may feel fearful that somebody else is going to recognize your voice, but if they're listening to this show, all I can say is you are in good company, because clearly it's so important for you to know that it's absolutely safe to talk anonymously and get your questions answered and to know that there is help there. I mean, this is a new ball game, although we're all pioneers in this together. Sexual addiction's been around forever, but not to this extent and not to this intensity. And the Internet has brought it into play and to such a degree that the affordability, the anonymous status, anonymity, and the accessibility, it's so easy to access. Why, it has created compulsiveness that we've never seen before. So you're not alone, and I want you to know that. And so that's what's important. And I'm sure, Tom, that you are not alone in wishing that there had been some free services. So I am so happy that you are willing to send me an email and check out what is available out there. Because you're not alone. There are other people that want to know the same thing. Now, I'm wondering if you feel like your sexual addiction affects other people in your life. I mean, very, very clearly, what I know to be true is that this disorder interferes in relationships, whether that be at your work, with your kids, with a partner, with your family. It is an intimacy disorder. It keeps you from feeling close. And that in and of itself can be so problematic. I know you can be in denial, and you know what denial stands for. Don't even know I am lying. And that's part of the disorder, is that you stay in a heightened sense of denial when you think that this is not affecting anybody but you. And maybe you're even in denial about that. Maybe you truly believe that it's not even interfering with your own functioning. But anytime you have a secret, you are accumulating guilt and shame. And so every day that you do this without anybody else knowing, every day you do it in secret, every day that you orchestrate your routine to spend time doing something that you wouldn't tell other people about, you are interfering in your own natural development and in your relationship with people. And so I want you to recognize that it is taking a toll on your emotional health, your psychological health, and your mental health. And when that occurs, you can't get that back. So I always ask my clients to look at the consequences of their choices. You know, I have men that say, you know, this isn't that big of a problem. And when I ask them about closeness with their wives, they say, well, I'm not really close to my wife. I mean, we kind of interact like roommates. A lot of my guys don't have sex. They are what we call sexually anorexic because they have trained their brain to be stimulated only with pornography, and they no longer can get aroused in a normal, healthy relationship with their partner. And for the women that have this affliction, and there are many, they are typically a little more relationship-oriented, so they fake it with their spouses. But the excitement, the thrill, the rush they get is by having sex with typically other people that they are either in relationship with or that they're having anonymous sex with. And so I want you to remember, denial is don't even know that I am lying. Because clearly, and I cannot stress it enough, when you are lying and hiding a secret, you are impacting every relationship that you have close to you. And the men and the women that I've talked to that avoid going to family functions so that they can be at home alone, or they get to work late, or they practice pornography at work, or they stay up half the night. It starts out with 20, 30 minutes, but it becomes more and more progressive. Okay, so you may be saying to yourself, well, mine's not more progressive. I'm not having problems with that. But I'm here to tell you that if you are making that choice and you're lying about it, that clearly you are having problems and you aren't able to deal with the situation. And it is keeping you distant from your wife. And that in itself is a problem. And when it affects the people that you care about, when they're not getting their needs met because you're not meeting your needs other than sexual addiction, it just isn't fair. And so I have to tell you, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to ask yourself, how is this affecting the people that I care about? What is going on in my life where sexual addiction is taking a toll and is not in any way enhancing the life that I lead? And that is so mainstream. Now, we always ask about consequences, and let me just ask you, how much does your sexual addiction cost you in terms of money? I mean, I had a man, he actually said to me, my sexual addiction does not cost any money at all. And then, as I got to talking to him, he had downloaded some movies without paying for them and found out through the FBI that he was going to be exposed unless he paid $10,000 to legally deal with his improprieties. And so we're so happy that Larry Werbil is going to be calling in to the radio show, and he's going to be talking about sexual addiction. I hope he will call at 646-595-3284, and he's going to be talking about sexual addiction. So we'll look forward to his call, as we know that it can be very, very difficult, to work on this by ourselves. And clearly, with the help of experts. It's not just about me. It's also about what somebody else can tell us and educate us on and improve our life. So, now, if you have a question, you feel free to call. Again, that number is 646-595-3284. Don't be shy. I'm on every Monday night specifically just for you to help answer your calls. Here with Strength, Hope, and Recovery, and Carol the Coach. Now, if you've seen my website, www.sexhelpwithcarolthecoach, you know that I really encourage my callers, my listeners, and my clients to be able to contribute to the website. And how do they do that? They send me information that they think will be helpful. It's their own thoughts. It's their own beliefs. That's what counts. And so when it's good, and typically it is, I want to include it on my website because I want you to be able to inspire others. If you've had this problem, you know how it is. You get that it's a problem. So, again, I really want you to do your very best to know that you matter. You're listening to Sex Help with Carol the Coach, and we'll be back after this break.
Carol the Coach. Sex, love, and relationships. We talk about it here.
Carol the Coach. Compassion with contemporary relevance.
I am a psychotherapist. I can be your personal life coach, and I can help you with your issues. There are no problems too small or too big. You can talk about anything.
Speaker, columnist, radio TV host, and commentator. Carol the Coach brings messages of wellness and empowerment within reach of everyday people every day.
Almost 5 years ago, I lost my soulmate in an accident. He was killed in a plane crash. Life just, for me, has seemed to stop.
There are groups all over the city. I teach one. It is a specific way to start thinking so that you shift how you see the world, which then shifts your energy, and then you feel better and you actually see things differently.
Carol the Coach, always available too at carolthecoach.com.
Now, I've got Russell on the line.
I'm 47 years old. I'm a truck driver. I'm married. I have a wife in San Francisco.
Okay.
I haven't been home in 6 months. My thing is, I don't know if I have a sex addiction or what the problem is. Why do I want what I can't have? And as soon as I can have it, I don't want it anymore.
You're right on target when you say, I don't know if I have a sexual addiction. Well, guess what? Yes, you do. And you know what? That's my specialty, Russell, so you're at the right place. Continue.
And you know what Russell says? He says it's that availability of being able to drive all around the country. That's what causes his accessibility problem. So you may be in that same spot where accessibility is very easy for you. Maybe you can look at pornography all day at work, and if that is the case, then what I would ask for you to do is to talk with your supervisor about changing your computer so that it faces the door, that it limits accessibility. And there's all sorts of structural things you can do. So think about how does your infrastructure support your sexual addiction. Get back with me. Email me at carolthecoach@AOL.com, and we can talk about what we can do to keep you safe. All right, I have my caller on the line. Larry Werbil is he's a minister, he's a licensed mental health therapist, and he has specifically worked with sexual addiction for years. And so, Larry, welcome to the Sex Help with Carol the Coach show. How are you tonight? Oh, boy, I just lost my caller, and he was right there. I don't know what happened to him, but I'm sure he'll call back. There he is. Okay. And so, Larry, how are you tonight?
Doing well. How are you tonight?
Well, I am excellent, and we are talking tonight about sexual addiction and affordability and anonymity and accessibility, and And you really have made it your mission to help men who suffer from this disorder. So I had some questions for you. Are you ready for me?
I sure am.
Okay, now you see individuals, children, families, and specifically people with sexual addictions. I want to know, what addictive behavior do you see most often when you look at drugs, alcohol, and sex?
Well, I think what is increasing the most is the sexual side of things. Pornography, masturbation leading to sexual acting out is well, the word I use is a tsunami in our world. It's just everywhere, and people will combine drugs and alcohol with it, but it's a primary for so many people.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that, because I have gone to some of the drug and alcohol hospitals locally, and I have wanted to see if we couldn't educate them about sexual addiction being combined with, let's say, cocaine use or alcohol use. And there is so much stigma and shame that a lot of the hospitals say, hey, we're not for profit, and we're afraid that if we expose this as a real problem, we won't get our funding.
Yeah, I know when I worked in hospital systems and they discovered that I had some interest and experience in this area, I would quietly go back to a particular unit to talk to somebody, and and make the note in the chart, and it was not something that was promoted, shall we say.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you work with these folks that have sexual addiction?
Well, what is it you're trying to point to there with that question, Carol?
Well, I know a lot of people are seen individually. Some people, see addicts in groups. So I'm wondering how you. Okay.
I do both individual and groups. I have two men's groups right now. One dealing with the effects of sexual addiction, and the other the effects that it has on a marriage. After completing the first group, they moved to a second one. And I do a lot of individual work with individuals and couples. I tend to like to, if I'm going to do a couple bit of therapy, I like to be involved in a couple that has had the effect of addiction somewhere in that marriage.
Mhm. Mhm. And so when you do your assessment, do you get a good sexual history and kind of figure out perhaps if they've had some trauma in their past?
Absolutely. Absolutely. A sexual history is a necessary piece of the evaluation because it leads us to so many, it gives us clues to so many things to work on with a person in a therapy process.
Mm-hmm. And don't you find it interesting that many therapists, they don't even know a sexual addiction exists, and they also don't do any kind of sexual history. So if you don't open it up, oftentimes people don't want to talk about it.
Right. If you don't open the can, you can't deal with what's inside.
Mm-hmm. Now you've found the church to be really helpful, haven't you, in terms of making referrals and being?
Yes, I get a lot of referrals from churches, and I think part of it has to do with the length of time I've been doing this kind of work. Mm-hmm. I've been in general, I've been in the addictions field for 23 years, and probably 20 of that, most of that has had some level of sexual addiction as a part of it, either as someone who is recovering from sexual abuse, or somebody who has been caught in the middle of something. I've been doing that pretty much all the way along, and in the last 12 years, it's become the central focus of my practice.
Larry, that's really impressive. To have been doing this work for almost 20 years or 20 years means that you really were at the start of when this thing became rampant with the Internet.
Yeah, I'm that old. And yes, I've been around this business long enough to watch it blossom with the Internet. The Internet is probably the thing that is made it so easy for people to be involved in the pornographic end of things, and then the chat rooms and the websites where they hook people up. I mean, it just keeps going and going and going.
So do you have any guidelines for your men's groups in terms of, can somebody be actively using and join your initial series of groups?
Well, there has to be a commitment to stop.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be a commitment to do that. Now, whether or not they're successful at it is determined by what we do in a group setting, and I want to link all these guys together in a way that they can begin to help each other in between the group meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have them exchange phone numbers. I try and stay on track with them as well. And but at some point, if there's a continual relapse pattern, then I've got to look at intensifying the treatment, because it changes the brain chemistry and the thought process so much that if a person has no interruption time in addiction, then they're not going to be able to do the work and improve.
Well, that's a really good point. There is so much neurochemistry that's going on and occurring. And I remember when I first learned about sexual addiction about 15 years ago, and they said that in part due to pornography, that people, especially at that point, it was men, were looking at so many images so quickly for so long, it was producing chemicals they had never even seen in the brain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so here you've got somebody who believes they just don't have the willpower to stop, but they don't understand how that reward center in the brain lights up and what a fix that is. It truly is like an addiction.
Oh, absolutely. It fires off the same chemicals that, say, cocaine and alcohol and some other substances do. The dopamine response is incredible, and the endorphin response, the enkephalin response, and all three of those are related to pleasure, whether or not we have depression or pain killing. And so while we're acting out, we're not having any of those things happening, and that seems to fall in on us after we act out.
Well, absolutely. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Carol.
Well, it's just interesting because I know that you have some sources or resources for recovery, and it's one of the reasons I asked you about what do you do in your group if somebody's actively using is because clearly, you're right, slipping and relapse is a part of this process. It is with all addictions. But if somebody is not...
It seems to be more frequent in the sexual arena.
Yeah, it does. In some ways, because it's a process addiction. It's like eating. You have to, in some way, engage in sexuality. If nothing else, when you turn on the TV, you see sexual images.
Well, and see, I think it's also burrowed into who we are as people. The sexual part of us can't be denied, like the spiritual part of us can't be denied. And in fact. There's been some research here recently in the brain chemistry, in the brain area, that at the very center of the brain that is stimulated by spirituality, spiritual things, is also stimulated by sexual things. The same area.
So then, is your work with people? Is there a spirituality component to that other than the 12-step component?
Well, but the 12 steps are a spiritual structure for life.
Absolutely.
And there has to be a way to find a power greater than themselves, and that really is the key understanding for me, is a power greater than the person. And first of all, they've got to become convinced that they're being pushed around by the addiction, and usually that some of that is accomplished when they get to me, because usually it's a family member or a loved one or a wife or somebody like that or a parent that brings a client to me, and there's something stumbled out into the daylight, and so that's where the path begins.
Absolutely, Larry. Now, I have a caller, somebody who is calling in. Are you with us also?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi, did you have a question for Larry or myself?
Yeah, I do, actually. I want to talk about, because my job, it's really unbelievable. I work with these really, well, one of them is pretty much a supermodel, and she's pretty hot, but she's completely clueless when it comes to like solving things. She's constantly like fixing her hair, and it turns me on so much. She's putting on makeup. She's extremely self-centered, and has never once considered the needs of anyone. But anyway, she uses me, and I feel like she's just really stupid, and I keep falling for her. But then this other chick is like the complete opposite, and she also works with me, and I kind of have a thing with her. She actually might be the smartest person on the planet. I mean, her career is like endless, yet she still decides to solve things with us. She's like a 0 on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm not even sure if she showers sometimes. But the jewel of the crowd is this stoner guy who is like, he works with us too. He has his dog, and sometimes I think about him and the dog at the same time. It's really weird. But anyways, I drive with these fucktards in my van, and we solve mysteries and shit.
Well, it sounds like you definitely have some compulsive thinking going on. And have you ever sought help from somebody who has some expertise with sexual addiction?
No, I've wanted to, because I just don't know why I'm thinking about these two girls and my other coworker guy. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I can imagine. Yeah, go ahead, Larry.
Well, addiction doesn't make any sense. It's not a logical process, and so it's not about trying to make sense of it. It's about coming to the conclusion that you need to have some help to stop, because you're already progressing. Mm-hmm. You've progressed. You've already given me a pattern of progression, and so in order to interrupt that, you're going to need help.
Should I try like a different line of profession to get away from these people?
Well, I think you're going to have to deal with the core of it, and that is that there is something going on inside of you that is attracted to all of this, and for you to talk to somebody who understands the business of sexual addiction would be the place to start, and then if at some point that becomes necessary for you to change careers, the reason I'm saying you got to start with you first is you can go find another career, you can go find another place to work, and you can find the same problem.
Absolutely. I would almost guarantee it that it's not about what you're involved in as much as it's going to follow you everywhere you go, because it's about you.
It's everywhere we go.
Have you read any literature on sexual addiction?
No. I read a lot of mystery novels, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would highly encourage you to look up the 12-step groups for sexual addiction, either SA or SAA. What about you, Larry? What would you recommend?
Well, and I'm thinking that the SA group might be more the fit for this young man because of the way in which his thought process is working. Because they come at it from the lustful standpoint, and the SAA program comes at it from designing their own recovery process, and I'm not sure he's at that point where he could do that. He'd need help for that.
Yeah. So stay tuned and let us know. Send me an email at carolthecoach@AOL.com and let me know.
Can I suggest a book?
Yeah,
sure.
Please do.
Well, Patrick Carnes, actually I'm going to suggest an author, Patrick Carnes, because Patrick is a man that is kind of the grandfather of sex addiction treatment, and he's an avid 12-step person, and he's got a list of books out there that starts with Out of the Shadows.
And a wonderful workbook called Facing the Shadows that you can actually do the work in the workbook.
Right. There's another one he did, The Gentle Path Through the 12 Steps, and it's a 12-step guide for sexual addiction.
So thank you for calling. We've got other callers, but we wish you the best.
I'll tell Susie you said hi. Thank you.
Excellent. Keep listening. Larry, do you have time for another call?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, welcome to the Sex Help with Carol the Coach show. What can we help you with?
Hello, am I on?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've been having this problem with sexual desires for the past few months. It's a topic on masturbation. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. That's part of sexual addiction oftentimes. Continue.
Well, sometimes that's the primary addiction is the masturbation piece.
Yeah.
Right. It's called compulsive masturbation.
I've been reading up on that, like, online. And I'm really starting to worry about this. It's coming to the point where, like, my parents, right now they're in a nursing home, and they're really worried about me because I keep inside my own room for, like, days and days at a time, and I'm just really frustrated that I can't stop. I feel like I need some prayer or something. It's really overtaken most of my schedule, and I'm a college student right now.
And you know, Larry and I know about that because what you're describing is what we hear so oftentimes from college students that know they have a problem, but they don't know where to go for help. Larry?
Yeah, and probably the counseling center on campus may or may not have anybody in it that deals with sexual addiction. So I would really want you to start with the 12-step community in your area, and you can find that by looking in the white pages. As strange as it may sound, they will actually list the Sexaholics and Sex Addicts Anonymous central offices that you can find out where meetings are and get material sent to you and get schedules. Yes, you can.
Do you have a number that I could call? Do you believe you have a number I could call? Because I really need immediate help.
Oh, that's a good... But you have a computer in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, why don't you Google Sexual Addicts Anonymous or Sex Addicts Anonymous, and then your city.
How do you spell addicts?
ADDICTS.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So if I go to this website and I look up a number and I'll get immediate help.
You'll get immediate help?
Because it'll take you to help you to find that help immediately. Because it'll give you phone numbers, it'll give you meetings that you can attend, it can give you places to call.
And remember, if there's not a place in your area, you can always do a telephone 12-step support group. So for people that don't have a place within an hour's, close to your home, you can always get the help you need via the telephone. So good luck to you, and let us know how you're doing, okay? We've got another call.
Oh, yeah, my penis is burning hot.
I understand that.
Oh,
okay. And here we've got another call. This is Sex Help with Carol the Coach. And what can we do for you? Okay, we accidentally dropped that call. So are you there?
Hello.
I guess not. So Larry, I was asking you what are some of the sources for recovery, and obviously you gave a good one when you said Out of the Shadows by Dr. Patrick Carnes, and that is spelled Carnes for anybody that has never heard of him. And he really is the guru. He suffered from this disorder. He talks about it in his books, and he has made it his life's mission to help addicts and has started treatment programs all over the country for this. Anything else that you would say
that would be for somebody, say, who is a couple of these people have asked about prayer, and so I was curious about their spiritual interest, because there are some organizations inside the church that are focused on that too. An organization known as New Life Ministries, which is headed up by Stephen Arterburn, has a weekend intensive they do every single weekend or every single month in the calendar year somewhere in the United States.
So give me his name again. How do you spell his name?
Steve Arterburn, Arteburn.
ARTB. Okay, and
BURN.
URN. Okay, and he does a weekend workshop every single weekend.
Someplace in this country. Yeah.
Huh.
You can get on the internet with newlife.com and follow the Every Man's Battle workshops. There's a guy in Minnesota too. His name is Mark Laser, who does a lot of work in this arena from the perspective of a believer. And so there are several programs around the country, and a growing number of therapists that are seeking more information or have suffered and are recovering addicts themselves. So, and which is part of the case for me. But there's plenty of help out there. People don't always know how to ask the question.
Well, do you have any idea how much these workshops would cost somebody? So many times people call or they email and they're looking for free services or at least low-cost services.
And it's one of the reasons why my men's group that I do on Thursday evening, that is the beginning group around sexual addiction, is I only put a $20 fee per session on it because I'm trying to get past all that stuff, because people are spending more money than that on their sexual addiction.
Absolutely. Well, it's very obvious that you have done a fantastic job of being available. And do you ever treat women?
Well, I leave that to my wife. We formed our practice in 2006 called Lifebridge Counseling and Consulting, and she works with the women. I work with the men. And we will sometimes work together in some cases. And she right now has a group of spouses of addicts. And she's been running that for a couple of years. And
that's phenomenal too. And does she charge about the same amount, $20? Oh, phenomenal. Looks like we have another caller. Now, I have got to tell you, Larry, normally I don't get calls, so you must have this friendly voice that's just inviting these people. I will hope that everybody's appropriate, but we're going to take another call and see if we can help. This is Carol, the coach, and what can we help you with tonight?
Hi, Carol. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. What's your question for Larry or myself?
My question is, I was looking up on the internet, and it seems I contracted some type of thing, some sort of crabs, and unfortunately I would need a little bit more advice from you guys. The street name they've been calling it is Krusty Krab. Was wondering if you have ever heard of it. It kind of looks like a sore. Hello?
Yes, you're describing it really well. And it looks like you're going to need medical treatment to get rid of it.
Yes, and of course you should be wearing protection. Yeah.
I know. I really should, but it happened in the ocean, so I really didn't have a chance to use anything.
Well, all I can say is you need to seek some medical attention and talk with a doctor about that. Okay, we're going to take one more call before we end for tonight. This is Sex Help with Carol, the coach. What can we do for you?
Carol?
Yes?
This is for you. I recently got married. My name is James Russell. I'm married to a younger girl, and she's a total sex addict. I'm getting older. I've worked hard all my life, and I just can't keep up with her. Every night, 3 times a day, she wants it. What can I go about doing to, talk with her about it? I need a break.
Well, it sounds like she is.
No, I'm talking about you. You sex freak.
It sounds like she is hypersensitive sexual, and that is a problem. So I would encourage you to speak with her about the fact that, she needs to slow that down, and, that does happen. And I can't give you advice beyond that because I wouldn't say she's a sex addict. You probably need to see a certified sexual addictions therapist or somebody who's absolutely trained in sexual addiction with her to rule that in or out. Larry, would you add anything to that? Mm-hmm. So now, you said, Larry, that you are part of Lifebridge Counseling and Consulting.
That's the company my wife and I formed in 2006.
And the website is it www?
Yeah. Lifebridgecounseling at WordPress.com.
At WordPress.com. And so, do you two blog?
Pardon?
Do you two blog? Do you put articles on that
occasionally.
website?
We've been posting some things on there. She's more the writer than I am, so I need to put my fingers to the keyboard and put some more articles on there. But yeah, and it'll lead anybody if they're in the area. It'll lead anybody so that they can get in touch with you, with one or both of us.
That's good. And do you ever do any kind of ministry or therapy via phone or Skype?
Oh, I do some phone coaching, and I have Skype on my phone. That's a possibility. I haven't had anybody really step into it with me, but I'd be willing to do that. Skype is better than the phone because it gives you face-to-face contact.
Well, I agree. It's important as well as if somebody if you can't see them, then in part this is such a shameful issue anyway. They stay more anonymous, and with their counselor, they don't need to stay anonymous. They need to come clean.
That's right.
Yes, well, thank you so much. You've been very helpful. I cannot emphasize that you sound warm and friendly, and you put it out there and you do it reasonably and affordably, and I would highly encourage anybody to give you a call, and that number is 317-938-7373, or again, Lifebridge Counseling website is lifebridgecounselingwordpress.com. So, Larry Werbil, thank you so much for your help tonight.
You're welcome, Carol.
All right. You have a great evening.
You do the same. Thanks.
Uh-huh.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we have just gotten some good information from Larry, and I have to tell you that, I'm not sure that all the callers tonight were serious, and this is a serious topic. This is an issue that you don't want to make fun of. You don't want to use it for sexual stimulation. And so I would really encourage you never to hesitate to give us a call, and that number is 646-595-3284. But I really appreciate you all asking the right questions and then seeking out the support you need. Because you're not going to get help until you take it seriously and you create that infrastructure of support. And that infrastructure of support means that you get out there, you do the reading. Larry recommended Patrick Carnes. That obviously is who trained me. 12-step groups of some sort, whether it's SA or SAA. And then a sponsor, somebody who can help and guide you, and hopefully a good counselor. And they say the group, a therapy group is also imperative to getting help. And again, Larry would be happy to help, and his number is 317-938-7373, and you can always email me at carolthecoach@AOL.com, and I'll make sure to read your emails on the air. Listen, as always, there will always be one of you at all times, so fearlessly have the courage to be yourself and know that there's help out there for you because you are absolutely worth it. Have a great week, and we will see you next Monday night.